Now, given Liverpool have had a few injuries and suspensions recently, it's been fairly easy to predict the starting 11 that Arne Slot is going to go with from game to game. But I can't say that that is the case for Wednesday's trip to Southampton because, yes, it is the quarter-final of the League Cup, a trophy that Liverpool are hoping to defend this season. But I think we've seen from the manager so far this season that really this is low down on his priority list, and he is absolutely happy to shuffle his pack for these games, even if it means risking being knocked out of this competition. For that reason, I think it's going to be a bit of a crazy lineup for this one, really, and one that's really difficult to predict. Foolishly, I've had a go at trying to pick out who I think will start this game, and I'm sure I've got it completely wrong, but we'll have a go, and I'll go through my starting 11, and do let me know in the comments what you think, what your starting 11 would look like, and maybe I can influence your thinking around this and what the team's going to be. I'm going to start with a really, really straightforward one, because Arne Slot said that he's going to start the game. It will be Quaveen Kelleher in goal. Obviously, this competition's been really good to him in recent years. He's won it twice with Liverpool, and he's been knocked out of the first team, hasn't he, now by Alisson's return. So a good opportunity to get him back on the pitch and get him some minutes. And I'm sure every Liverpool fan has got great confidence in him with the run he's been on recently in the first team, just showing again what a good backup goalkeeper he is. Now I'm going to move into the defence and pick out a few more straightforward ones. Again, I think at centre-half it's pretty easy to see that Jarell Quansah will start this one. Being a little bit off it this season, you have to say, not reaching the heights that he did in his debut season under Jurgen Klopp. But I think clearly he needs minutes, doesn't he? He needs to get that confidence back up. I thought he was pretty decent in the game against Brighton, apart from that kind of one mistake where he gives a goal away. And that seemed to affect him mentally. But I'm hoping to see him back in the team for this one at centre-half. And hopefully those minutes can give him that confidence, as I say. And also maybe a bit of rhythm, because maybe that is what he's lacking in this run, because he does look off it when he comes into the team. So hoping he can kind of find a remedy for that by getting some minutes here. And alongside him at centre-half, kind of agonised about this one, but there just aren't a great deal of options there. Obviously, we don't want to see Virgil van Dijk anywhere near this one. Joe Gomez either, really, because he can pick up injuries, can't he? And Liverpool are really missing Konate at the moment, so they could do without losing any other centre-halves. And so for that reason, I've gone with a youngster in this position, and that is Amara Nallo. Now, he's only 18 years old, but he has been training with the first team quite a lot frequently, and he does look such a kind of composed and powerful defender. Real good mix of quality, and also those physical qualities are there as well. And as I say, he's been training around the first team a lot. Surely that is with situations like this in mind and opportunities. Left-footed defender there would slot in nicely alongside Quansah. I think they'd be a really good mix. And as I say, I just think you're forced into this situation because you don't want to use Gomez, you don't want to use Van Dijk, and Konate isn't there. So I would quite like to see Nallo partnering Quansah in the centre of that defence. And at left back, I've gone with another youngster for obvious reasons. Obviously, Andy Robertson is suspended for this one after picking up a red card against Fulham. He'll just serve that one match suspension against Southampton and then be back for Spurs. And Kostas Tsimikas, fortunately, is back in training today, so a real boost for Liverpool. I think that helps them, having that rotational option on the left-hand side. Tsimikas has been good this season, and I also thought we've seen the best of Robertson when he has missed a couple of games and had been able to rotate with Tsimikas. So when you're asking him to play 3 games in a week, it's a little bit much for him, so it's good to have Tsimikas back. But the fact he's only just in training today, he's been out for a few weeks. Is he going to be sharp and ready enough for this one? I'm not so sure. I think ideally with Tsimikas, you'll bring him on in the second half to get a few minutes that way, and that will help him build up his fitness. So I'm going to start someone else at left back, and that is, as I say, another academy player. I've gone with James Norris in that position now. Only 21 years old. He hasn't featured for the first team for a long time, actually, since that FA Cup game against Shrewsbury a couple of years ago. He came on as a substitute in that one, but he's been around the first team for a while. He picked up a bit of first team senior experience as well last season on loan at Tranmere, so he should be ready for this one. And again, he's another one. He's been in and around first team training, surely with one eye on the prospect of him featuring this game. So I would love to see him start that one. A local lad as well, always great to see them in the team. So I think he will come in at left back, or he's certainly my pick anyway. Now, right back, I've left this one to last out of the defence because I think this is a bit of a headache for Arne Slot. And obviously, no Conor Bradley at the moment, who would be an obvious pick for this one. He's still out with that hamstring injury and probably expected to be so until the new year. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, again, you don't want him anywhere near this one. I still think he's kind of finding form and rhythm, isn't he, after coming back from that injury he had, but you've got to be really, really careful with him. So don't want to see him start this one. And that doesn't leave you with very many options. Obviously, Joe Gomez would be an option at right back, but you're protecting him. You don't want him in the starting 11 at centre half, so you certainly don't want him in the starting 11 at right back. So it just doesn't leave an awful lot of options. Now, Isaac Mabaya, who is a right back in the academy, plays for the 21s. He actually played for the 21s yesterday, so I'm just kind of thinking he's probably not going to be around it. He would have been rested for that, as the likes of Norris and Nallo were. With an idea that he would be starting in this one. So I don't think it's going to be him. And there's something that Arne Slot said in his press conference about maybe using academy players, but also maybe using players that you wouldn't expect to be in that last line in this game to cover the fact that Liverpool don't have an options there. And so with that in mind, I'm maybe wondering whether the curveball he might throw will be at right back, and maybe we'll see Curtis Jones start in that position. Now, I think we've seen it a couple of times. I think Klopp has used him in competitions there a couple of times. It's not a perfect position for him, but I think he's more than capable of doing it, particularly if Liverpool kind of invert him and he's coming into central midfield areas. And it's also interesting, he's been subbed off in the last couple of games. He came off with 20 minutes remaining against Fulham. And I wonder if that's because he's going to, they knew they were going to have to use him at right back in this one. They were just kind of trying to protect him there. Obviously, he got through a lot of work against Fulham, but also maybe with one eye on this. And the fact is, you maybe won't need him for the Tottenham game that follows this, because, of course, McAllister is back as well. And that would leave you then with the McAllister sobbers like Gravenberch midfield. You could name in that one, and maybe if you need Jones off the bench. So I just think there's a possibility that we might see that what the manager was hinting at there is maybe Curtis Jones at right back. Maybe that's the most controversial pick I've got in this starting 11. Do let me know what you think on that one. But that's just got a sneaky feeling around that one. But we'll see how it plays out. Maybe it'll be someone completely different. Now I'm going to move into the midfield now. Of course, I'm not going to be naming Curtis Jones there because he's in the back four. I think there is one obvious pick here for as a starting point, which is Wataru Endo in the holding midfield role. Obviously, we haven't seen an awful lot of him this season, but he has featured in the League Cup, and I think this competition is important for him, because if you do need him to come on in games for the last 10 minutes to see them out, you want him to be sharp, you want him to be ready. And so I think getting minutes in this is really important. I think he's a nailed-on starter for this, and probably a nailed-on starter to do the entire 90 minutes as well, really, as you look to protect other players. Now, alongside him, I think there's a real argument to put Alexis McAllister in for this one. He needs the minutes at the moment, doesn't he? He's been on a little holiday that he had because he was suspended for the Girona and Fulham games. But I think an opportunity to get him back in, build his sharpness back up, maybe do 60 minutes in this game, and then he would be ready, wouldn't he, to come into your starting 11 against Tottenham, which I would love to see. So I think it makes sense to have those two as kind of the two midfield at the base of the midfield, and pair those two, and obviously allows you to give a rest to someone like Gravenberch, who definitely needs it. And just ahead of them in that kind of number 10 role, don't want to run Szoboszlai into the ground. He's going to be very, very important, isn't he, against Tottenham? You want him, you want all his legs and be able to throw himself fully into that game. So it makes sense to me to bring Harvey Elliott for this one. I thought he was really, really bright when he came onto the pitch against Fulham as a substitute. It didn't look like he'd missed any football at all, actually, and I think it's just a really good opportunity to build on his form he showed in that one. Also, keep getting that sharpness. He will start a lot of games for Liverpool over the remainder of this season if he can stay fit. And so getting him sharp as quickly as possible is important. And what a great opportunity this would be to bring him in. So that kind of completes my midfield. Really looking forward to seeing Harvey Elliott in particular, actually. Now, moving into the attack, a few obvious choices here as well, I kind of guess. On that right-hand side, Slot was a little bit cagey on whether he's going to be ready to start, but we don't want to see Mohamed Salah anywhere near this one. So surely it's going to be Federico Chiesa starting this on that right-hand side, as he did against West Ham before his injury in this competition. Obviously, he's probably not fit enough to do the 90 minutes. He's been out for a little while, but if you can get him through an hour here just to build his fitness up again, make him an option off the bench for the Premier League games that are to come. And I think it's exciting, really, because we've seen so little of him this season, and there was a lot of excitement around his signing. He had to go through that kind of mini individual pre-season, but he should be ready now. He should be prepared. And so I'm really hoping that he's available to start this game, because I want to see him in Liverpool shirt. I want to see what he can offer, see what he's like as a player, and learn a little bit more about how he fits in. So I would really like to see Chiesa start on that right hand side, and on the left wing on the other side, I think this one again maybe kind of picks itself. We saw Cody Gakpo come off with 20 minutes remaining against Fulham, despite the fact he'd scored, despite the fact he was playing well. And I just think that was maybe with one eye on him starting in this one. It seems that the manager really likes Luis Diaz, doesn't it, at the moment? And I get that. I think for the Tottenham game, you do want someone like Luis Diaz. He's a bit better at kind of working back and protecting his fullback than Gakpo, even if he's not scoring the goals at the moment. I mean, Gakpo has got 7 goals in his last 10 appearances, so maybe would feel a bit aggrieved to miss out against Tottenham. But I do think Luis Diaz in that, in the away games and the big away games in particular, just offers a certain level of solidity, which is why you'd want to keep him out of the team for this one and use Gakpo for this one. But I mean, again, bringing Gakpo in for this is no bad thing, is it? Obviously, he had those 20 minutes off against Fulham, so he should be physically ready. He only played 20 minutes against Girona, so he should be absolutely ready to throw himself into this one. And he is in great form at the moment, so you would back him to get a goal in this game and help Liverpool get through. So, and then again, if you do need him off the bench against Tottenham, what an option he is to bring on late in the game when you're trying to get a goal to win it or chasing the game or whatever situation Liverpool find themselves in. So he is my pick on the left-hand side for this one. And up top, I would have gone with Diogo Jota for this one, just to continue building his fitness up. And he got those 20 minutes against Fulham, and it seemed that would really set him up to come in from the start for this one. But it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. He missed training yesterday. Obviously, a little bit of a reaction to being back in the team after being out for so long. He is going to train today. He is going to be part of the squad, Jota, but he isn't going to be ready to start this one, according to the manager. And for that reason, I think you go with Darwin Núñez. Now, again, he only played 20 minutes off the bench against Fulham. It was Diaz in that central role, wasn't it? So I think he's ready to play this one, and I don't think necessarily you may need him against Tottenham, or certainly not from the start in that game. I think if there's any chance you can get Diogo Jota on the pitch from the start of that game, then you absolutely go for it. And so no problems with giving Núñez the minutes here from the start. Hopefully he can keep building on the fact he got an assist against Fulham. I mean, he's had a lot of criticism recently, and probably rightly so, really, in terms of his performances. But he got an assist against Fulham, and you hope that can give him confidence. Maybe he can get a goal here, and again, that will boost his confidence yet again. So he is my starting pick in that centre-forward role, and hopefully he can make the most of it. Now, there are a few other players I do want to see who have not put in my starting 11. In terms of the youngsters, it'd be great to see Trey Neone, James McConnell, Jayden Danns. Would love to see them play a part in this. They're really exciting youngsters who you want to see come off the bench. You don't just quite make the starting 11 because there are so many good options there, but I really do think the manager's going to have an eye on using them. Also would like to see Jota, if he can just get another kind of 10-15 minutes under his belt, just to make him ready to start against Spurs. I think that would be a real boost for Liverpool now. So that's my starting 11 anyway, to face Southampton in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. Do you agree with that selection? Do you disagree? Do you think any of that's kind of controversial? Anyone I've left out who you would like to see start? Do let me know in the comments what you think, and leave your starting 11s as well. Always interested to read them. And as ever, I'm going to ask if you can like the video. Really appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Everybody seems to be getting on board at the moment. We're getting very close to kind of 25,000 subscribers, which I absolutely can't believe. So thank you to everyone who does subscribe, and welcome to everybody who's new and has just jumped on board. I really do appreciate that. So I'm going to leave it there, and of course I will be back for my post-match thoughts after the Southampton game. So I'll see you guys then.